Welcome back to RBD Block Challenge. I'm Cindy Cloward, and today we are working on block number 11. It's called Crown Jewel, and it's designed by Sandy Gervais. This is what it looks like in our confetti cottons, and this is what it looks like in our batiks. So let's get started on this cool block. First, you need to download the pattern from the Riley Blake Designs website, again called block number 11, and it's Crown Jewel. I'm gonna put it over here. And the step one is always to mark your corner to corner blocks or your squares, but since I have a Seam So Easy guide, I don't have to do that. Otherwise, you need to mark A, E, and G squares. So I'm gonna take my E square and my G square, and we are going to make this half square triangle 2 at a time method. So your marked line is going to be your sew line, and you're going to sew 1/4 inch on each side. But I am just going to use my Seam So Easy guide. I line it up on the side of my foot, maybe slightly on the inside, and then down here on this 1/4 inch seam. Okay, clip your threads in between. And I'm gonna get out my rotating mat. We want these to be 2.5 inches. And we're gonna use our handy dandy 1/4 inch plus ruler to trim down and also trim off our dog ears. Oh, make sure you line up that line. We don't wanna cut into your threads. All right, let's take these to our pressing station. We're gonna press to the yellow side. There we go, put it under here. Okay, take these over here to our cutting station, and we're gonna trim down to 2.5 inches. So this is an important step. There's not much to trim down, but you wanna make sure these are an accurate 2.5 inches. So put that to the side. And these square up rulers are perfect for this. All right, we are good to go. We'll put that away. The next thing we need to do is make 4 of an F. Grab our F and our A squares. And again, they're already previously marked, and that is your sew guide. You do not stitch on that line. And I'm just gonna take it to just line up that side right there with that bottom here. It just barely fits on there, but it works. All right, we're just making more half square triangles. And these half square triangles will need to measure 3 inches. So before we measure them, we're gonna trim them down. Well, we'll cut them down the center. So your center marked line can be your cut line. Or if you've got this 1/4 inch plus ruler, you just measure 1/4 inch from your sew line, and I'm just going to cut off my dog ears. So I'm gonna breeze through these, press them, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, we've got all these half square triangles created. Now just make sure they're 3 by 3 inches. So you can measure that, and they should be pretty much right on. I'm just gonna give them a quick measure. That one's slightly big, so I am gonna pull it into the corner and trim it. These little bits of fabric add up, so that's why it's important to square it up at this time. Again, let's take a look. Ever so slightly, I am going to trim. Okay, so that is an important step not to skip. So I'm going to put this under here. I'm going to just kind of clean up my workstation a little bit. Put that over there. And we go to the next step. So I don't think we've done a unit quite like this before, so let me talk you through it. These have already been marked corner to corner. So you're gonna want to make sure that they go opposite. Now I haven't marked mine, but you have to make sure in your head that you are gonna sew across this to make this unit look like this. And that's what these are, all along here. So if you've already marked this, that's great. It keeps them straight in your head, that you need to cross that half square triangle underneath. So you're gonna put that up, you're gonna sew corner to corner. Again, if that's confusing, mark them. And that's gonna be your guide, and you're gonna sew a 1/4 inch on each side. So pull it back, yep, that's right. And I'm gonna lay these all out the same. Put this on top. And then I'm gonna remember in my head that I am sewing from corner to corner, just double check. And then you're crossing that seam. And you're gonna make 8 units at once. Okay, let's bring this back. Let's clip our threads in between. And we are going to make cuts down in the middle, just like we've done before. If you've got a marked line, that's your guide, or get your 1/4 inch plus ruler and just start trimming down to a 1/4 inch on each side and cutting off your dog ears. If you want to give it a quick check before you cut, just make sure you open it up, and this is what you want to see. And it's going to be opposite on the other side. All right, that's the last cut. Let's take it over to our pressing station. And we'll just open them up. All right, these are all finished. Let's just make sure they measure 2.5 inches. I'll find my little tooth, there it is. I'm gonna stick that under there. And some of them are generous 2.5, so I am going to trim them down. Just make sure there's this really great V right here. You want that V lined up with the white. So you can't necessarily pull it into the corner. So if you have to trim on more than 2 sides, that's just fine. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna put that over here. Again, my tip is to line up the V just like that. And anything around the edges, you're gonna trim down. So it is a really accurate 2.5 inch block or little unit. You can just see how all these little pieces of fabric add up, so it's an important step to take. And now we're ready to start creating this unit right here. Okay, so we're gonna line, we're gonna find all the ones that are on the same, because they go different directions depending on which side you cut. So let's see. We're putting them opposite. Let's see, I know I have one. Okay, so we've got them like this. We're gonna assemble them like this. We're gonna grab this little unit right there with the yellow. We're just gonna stack them on top of each other. And we're gonna grab these C-squares. So rather than laying them out individually, I'm gonna try something new. And just sewing in layers this time. So I'm gonna put this over this and this over this one, and we're gonna sew 2 at a time, just leaving enough thread in between that I know those 2 go together. So if it helps you to pin it, put a pin of where you're gonna start your stitches, go ahead and do that. For me, I'm just kind of flipping it over this direction and taking it to my machine like that, and I know which direction I'm going to sew. Okay, so now I'm taking a pause. I'm going to the next one. I'm actually gonna lift up my presser foot, pull out some threads, and I'm going to the next grouping. And then I'll just take those 2. Here we go. Okay, and it should be pretty obvious, the groupings of those units together, because then we're gonna just make a block. So we can kind of lay them out. Actually, I'll put those to the side and open them up. And you just want to see this. You want to see the yellow in the corner, and then these 2 units with the little V's opposite. So one this direction, one that direction. And it doesn't really matter how you nest those, just wherever they want to flop. And that feels like they want to flop that direction. So I'm going to sew down there, look at my other 2 units. Again, just lay them out one at a time, and they're connected by that thread. And they're nesting beautifully right there. We'll just throw a pin in it up. All right, let's start sewing. Those to the side. I'll grab my pins over here. Okay, let's clip our threads in between. And it's not going to matter which way you press these exactly, so let's just open them up. If you feel like you have a lot of bulk in the center, you can open up that seams and flip them opposite, but it actually does not feel too bad to me, so I'm not going to do that on. All these units are finished. We're ready to assemble our block. So let's lay everything out that's on the back side of your pattern. It's pretty straightforward. These are all gonna face towards the center. Got our little stickers here. We got this really pretty coral pink center unit, or center square, I should say. And then we're just gonna go around, just like we do, flipping over that side piece to the center and sewing down this side. You can pin it. If these units are not lining up, then take them back and measure them. They should be 4.5 inch square, and they're lining up really well, so I don't feel like I have to measure and trim down, so that looks really good. But there's your tip. Make sure these are 4.5 inches if they're not lining up. Okay, let's bring this over, open it up. You can choose to press right now. I'm not going to press at this time. I'm going to flip it around, and then we're going to flip this outside over here. Since I don't cut my threads, I'm just going to throw a pin in there to help all these little units stay together. So just line that up at the top. Okay, taking it over to my machine, sew down the other side. All right, let's take a look. It's coming together so great. So last two seams, just see where your seams want to fall. This one's an easy seam to move around, so we are going to flip those opposite. Just pin in those intersections. Flip it over. They both naturally have a spot they want to go to, so we're going to let them go where they'd like to. Okay, let's sew our last two seams. Okay, let's go press. I'm going to give it a little bit of a mist. Got a few threads in there. We're pressing on that. Okay, I'm going to press on this side. All right, and our crown jewel block has come together beautifully. Let's get our square up ruler. I'm going to lay this on top and just take a look and see if there's anything on the outside. You want to see your points, 1/4 inch on all of these so they don't get cut off when you are sewing them together, and that looks pretty good. So our crown jewel block is finished. I can't wait to see Sandy Gervais' version of this in her own fabrics. I really enjoyed making this block. It came together so easily. So join me next time for block number 12. It's called Crossroads and it's by Amber Johnson. See you next time.